Welcome back, guys, to another video. In this video I'm going to be going over how you can train like a pro athlete from home with things that you have around the house, simple ways of training to get the most out of what you have if you can't go to a gym. So without a further ado, let's get into the video. Alright guys, so most people think when they're looking at pro athletes, you think of, let's say, Ronaldo or Messi or someone who's not a soccer athlete, Kobe, LeBron. These people have strong mindsets. It's not just the genetic factor. Maybe for basketball it's a little bit more genetic, but especially in the soccer example with Ronaldo, it's mostly about mindset. You have to stay disciplined with your workout routine, staying focused consistently, doing the same workouts to get good results, to get exceptional results. Your genes do play a role, but with hard work, the majority of people, they'll be able to go way beyond what others can, because most people just aren't willing to work as hard as these professional athletes. That's why they're professionals, and you're not. It's usually because you don't work as hard as they do or haven't worked for as many years as they have. So this, just because they're professional doesn't mean you can't be professional. I believe personally that pretty much anyone can be professional at almost anything, as long as that they set their mind towards being professional at that thing. If you focus, set 100% of your you into that one thing, you'll be able to achieve it. I always write down my little notebook all your goals, what you want to do. It helps you organize yourself, especially when we're doing something like this and setting a workout routine for you to become whatever professional athlete you want to become. Depending on the sport, it might be a little different, but there's a few things that will be similar across all people who are doing training at home and they try and become professional at any specific sport. And the first thing is understanding how to organize your workout routine with reps, sets, and days. Reps, remember, is one repetition of a movement. One curl is one rep. Sets is a group of reps with given break afterwards. So I'd get, let's say, 12 reps of something, then 30-second break, 12 reps, 30-second break, 12 reps, 30-second break. I recommend to divide your sets for anywhere, if you want explosive power, so anywhere from 8 to 12, and if you want more endurance and more muscle growth or hypertrophy, so you'll see bigger muscles, not necessarily building strength and power, 12 to 15 reps. 12 reps is really just the golden standard for any given set for any given exercise, so I try to aim for around 12 reps. Whenever we're training for any sort of professional sport, power is usually the goal, so we'd usually be going a little bit on the lower end, so anywhere from 8 to 12 reps, but 12 is still usually the golden standard. If we're focusing on sports, what we need to realize is that most sports involve some sort of stability or balancing exercises. A lot of people skip stretching and they don't have they don't work on functional movements. I like to do, for example, since my friends, they do wrestling and stuff, I do certain movements that are specific to wrestling. If you're doing a sport, you have to focus down on whatever movement. Let's say it's tennis, you have to practice swinging with a rubber band. So I had a housekeeping come in, but ignoring that, like I was saying before, if you're doing tennis, for an example, you're going to be practicing swinging movements. You're going to be swinging a tennis racket or be attaching a rubber band to your tennis racket and going and pulling, or any quick movement that involves something similar to swinging. To train your hands and your rotational joints and your ligaments, you have to get used to that swing, that type of movement, so your body adapts and becomes better. And I always go to the law of specificity, where the more you specify specific movement, the better you'll be at it. So if I specify, really narrow down, let's say, a shot with a soccer ball. So I kick a soccer ball, but it's let's say it's a curling shot. I practice curling the ball, getting the ball to spin like this and swerve when I kick it, instead of going straight. I'm much more likely to achieve it than if I just practice training my legs. Maybe I'll kick it harder, but I won't be able to get the same swerve in the game. So it's certain movements you have to be a little bit more specific on, and I'd say training your legs is important too for the sport, especially with playing soccer. But you also have to have a specific training, which you can also do from home, because all these exercises, you don't even, let's say you don't even have a rubber band or anything. You could just use something heavy that kind of mimics what a racket looks like. Go like a break, go shh, 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 swinging, and it'll build most of the muscles, and some of the muscles that you have for the swinging motion in a tennis match. Another thing that you could do is go specifically and practice the sport. Like, I'm going to be good at a sport, practicing specifically the sport. So I'm not just doing weighted variations of it, but I'm going in, I'm putting in the reps in the sport, which is something that a lot of people miss out on. They train really hard and then they're just awful when it comes to the actual sport. A good example of this, guys, I watched recently UFC fight. There was this one guy, he's a super famous fighter in UFC, and UFC is mixed martial arts. I don't know if you guys know, that's pretty much fighting. So this guy's a super good fighter. His name's Michael Chandler, and he trained like crazy his last training camp for his upcoming fight, and he lost because, not just because of this, it might have been because the other guy was also training really hard and getting really good, but he was training more physically to get big muscles, get jacked, which helps him a lot in the cage or whatever when he's fighting, because it's cage fighting. But he wasn't training any MMA, so he had no idea. His punches were all sloppy. He got demolished. It was not good for him. So that's really not good. But plyometrics would be very important, which goes along too with the plyometrics are explosive movements, which I'd said previously. Within that 8 rep range, that would be very good. That's plyometrics generally, so I'd do a lot of jumping, box jumps. For most sports, this all helps. Builds a vertical on any sport really is necessary, and let's say you're a runner, it builds stride length. So big explosive movements are very useful for all sorts of training. And now, what most people don't realize, it's kind of like the unsung hero of training, and in general, training at home too, is pro athletes have crazy recovery routines. So they go into these chambers with no oxygen or reduced oxygen. They have ice baths, sauna, sleep monitors, all this other stuff. The primary method of recovery is sleep. If you don't have good sleep, you won't be able to compete at a sport, at any sport in general, for any long periods of time at a high level. If you have good recovery and stay consistent, do this over a long period of time, consistency is key, you'll be very, very good at whatever sport you're trying to do. Your recovery is on point, your training is on point, and most people can build a very solid physique without any weights, training at home, push-ups, plyometrics, mimicking movements from the sport that you're trying to do, and save a lot of time and a lot of money. So, yep, that's pretty much it for today, guys. Thanks so much for watching. Please like, comment, subscribe. Anything you guys want to see down below, let me know in the comments. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Bye-bye, guys.